This is the June the 9th, 2022 meeting of the Franklin County Planning Commission. I want to welcome everybody here, all the applicants, the guests, those on watching on Zoom or on the cable tune, also the staff and council, and the commission, of course. Okay, Madam Secretary, call roll.
David Boggs. Patty Cross.
Here.
Sharon Jackson.
Yes.
Keith Lee. Paul Looney.
Here.
Timothy Lesher.
Here.
William O'May Jr.
Here.
Darrell Sanderson.
Here.
Charles Stewart.
Here.
Brent Swager.
Here.
Russell Wright.
Here.
Quorum of 10.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting. So I have that.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll take a bowl split out there.
All those in
Do we, all in, yeah, all in favor? Signify by saying aye. Okay.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign? Okay. Now we'll have ask for a motion to approve the payment of bills. Ask for a second on that.
favor? So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor, like sign. Opposed, pardon me, like sign. Okay, no opposition. All right, at this point, we're going to, let's see. Do we have anything for the comprehensive plan report right now? Is there?
So the advisory committee has been formed by the steering committee, as I think most of you all are probably aware. They have met, had their initial meeting just a few weeks ago, I guess now. And so that was a good introduction. They did some mapping exercises, some SWOT analysis to help continue to help the consultant kind of get a feel for the main themes that are running in this community as we start the process. We had our bi-weekly call with the consultant team this morning, had a good chat about our next steps. We're working now on dates for the first 2 public kickoff meetings. So I think we're gonna shoot some dates around internally and try to figure out what works for all of us and then push that information out, but probably something like the tail end of June for one and then a couple weeks later for the other. The hope is to have those in 2 separate locations, one on the east side of town, one on the west side of town. Once again, all that information as we figured out, hopefully in the next few days to a week, we'll start pushing out, and I'll share all this again with the steering committee, of course. Talked about those 2 meetings. When we send out notice on that, we're going to try to put that together with notice that there's also going to be an online survey we're going to ask folks to participate in a lead up to that, so that we have some data that the consultant team can use to kind of help preface that discussion with data they've already collected from the survey data. So that's kind of what we're on now, is figuring out the exact dates on that so we can get things advertised, push information out, get our locations nailed down, and have those kickoffs so that sort of public input portion of that can begin. So we hopefully see some information coming out about that at the very least to the steering committee towards the end of next week is the goal. And I would just say once again to everybody at home and here, distilledtogether.com, just for updates. We've begun, now that we're starting to get information, now that we've had an advisory committee meeting, the consultant team in the last week or 2 has started to populate that website with a little bit more information. We're having them do little sort of updates after every advisory committee meeting where the public can see, we'll take a few pictures of the meeting, of whatever activities happen, and do a brief, not minutes or anything like that, but there's a brief description of kind of what happened at the meeting, what was discussed, so the folks that may not be able to participate can at least follow along. And like we said, keep everything out in the open and transparent and all that. We're also fleshing out, as we get more detailed dates and times for these meetings and public input opportunities, we're having them begin to fill in a little bit more detailed process schedule on the website so people can see when those things are gonna happen, and just the general process and all that. So always for folks that wanna know what's going on and keep up with it as we move forward, just check out the project website. And it also, as I think we mentioned before, has opportunities that folks can join mailing lists and can email, questions to the consultant team and things of that nature.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have any questions in regard to this? No. Okay.
One.
What?
One question. Have you completed the process of putting together the advisory team? So you've selected everyone?
We have, the steering committee went through their scoring procedure, maybe a month ago now, and those folks have been seated. We had our first advisory committee meeting, as I mentioned, something like 3 weeks ago, something like that. And we've now tried to set up a rolling schedule of the third Tuesday of the month. They will not necessarily meet every month, but we had people go ahead and pencil that in on their calendars so it's there when we need it. So we haven't scheduled their next meeting yet, but yes, they've met once, and then right now, the latest we've done is start also working with the advisory committee on generating a list of those other stakeholder groups that we want the consultant team over the course of the process to at least have a discussion with, meet with, hear about those themes, whether they're members of local business community, other organizations that may or may not already be represented on the advisory committee. Most importantly, the ones that aren't currently represented on the advisory committee, we want to make sure that we integrate with those folks and have the consultant team reach out. So we've had some back and forth over email with that committee. That list, as you might imagine, when you kind of say, okay, here's a draft list, any other group you can think of. Now we've got, with a couple of responses we got from advisory committee members, a lengthy list that we're probably going to have to, in fairness, pare down. But that's what we've been working on.
And when you go to the website for the comp plan, anybody who goes there looking to find out who is actually appointed to the advisory
That information is on
committee,
the website.
that's there.
Yes. That's one of those things that in the last week or two, they begin populating now that we've established those committees, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Any questions, comments, commission? Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Okay, now Secretary, will you please introduce the first item?
Public hearing. Continuation of public hearing. Tierney Storage LLC is requesting approval of a zone map amendment from Agricultural District AG to Industrial General District IG for an 85.388 acre portion of property located in Franklin County, identified as a portion of Tract 1, 84.05 acres plus or minus, and a portion of Tract 2, 1.331 acres plus or minus, located at 690 Duncan Road. The property is more specifically identified as a portion of PBA map number 087-00-031.00, Tract 1, and a portion of PBA map number 087-00-031.01, Tract 2, and this is a county.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I have viewed the entire tape and actually watched most of it while it was live, so
What's that now? I couldn't hear.
I've seen the entire,
Tape. Okay, you were absent. Okay, yes,
Yes.
you can vote. Okay.
yes.
All right. Is there a motion to remove the item from the table?
Motion to move, no, motion to remove.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we do a voice vote. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. No opposition. Okay, it has been removed from the table. So, I now need a motion to adopt the summary.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. No opposition. Okay. Now, this motion is for findings of fact, okay? With some discussion, we decided we're probably gonna have a separate vote for each one of those and probably a roll call vote. This is a significant and somewhat well advertised and debated agenda item, so we do have 6 findings of fact. Are there any additions here that anybody here?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd make a motion that we approve findings of fact number 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 on the staff, on page 15 of the staff report.
1, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll second that, and then we can,
Okay, and we're going to actually have I said we're gonna have a voice vote on Mr. Lee's,
when
we,
you said we vote individually.
pardon me, okay, we're gonna do individual, okay, we're going to, okay, let's
We'll take
get it right, okay. Do I hear a motion to,
Yeah, he made the motion,
okay, the motion is,
Second.
okay, all right,
and I second.
okay.
So now we just call number one and get a vote.
Okay, this is, okay, finding of fact number one, okay, we're gonna have a roll call vote.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
No.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Mr. Swager?
So just so we're clear, the finding of fact that this listed as the comp plan, future land use plan designates the property for appointment center. Yes.
Mr. Chairman Wright?
Yes. Okay,
Motion passes.
okay. The second finding of fact, the industrial IG zone district is appropriate for the employment center land use designation. Could you please call the roll on that, please?
Ms. Cross?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
No.
Mr. Lusher?
No.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Mr. Swager?
No.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion loses 6-3.
Okay. What was it, number one, number one, what was it, what was the final vote on that?
Six.
Three yes, 6 no.
Okay,
Goes on
okay.
the-
Okay, this will be,
That's number two. Number one was,
Number 1 was 6-3.
Yes.
Yes.
yes, okay. Okay, this is number four, the subject property is bound by industrial zoning that's northeast, west, and north within Franklin County. Please call the roll. Vote.
Mr. Boggs? Oh, I'm sorry, he's not here. Ms. Cross?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
No.
Mr. Lusher?
No.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
No.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion is denied 5-4.
Okay. Finding of fact number five, the subject property is adjacent to an established industrial park within Franklin County. I'll take it.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
No.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes. Yes.
Motion passes 7-2.
Okay, number six, the subject property is within 1 mile of Interstate 64 interchange.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, could you give us can you tell us how the vote for each one of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, finding of fact number 1 was approved 6-3. Finding of fact number 2 was not approved with a vote of 6-3 against. Finding of fact number 4 was not approved with a vote of 5 to 4 against. Finding of fact number 5 was approved with a vote of 7 to 2. And finding of fact number 6 was unanimous.
Okay. All right, given that, do I have a motion to seize?
You gotta ask for additional.
Oh, additional finding of facts, pardon me, excuse me. Get ahead of myself. Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
I just wanted to make sure the commission was aware of a letter from the Kentucky Resources Council asking this to be tabled because of potential outstanding violations from the applicant. I have copies of the letter.
Mr. Chairman, I have read the letter. That has absolutely no bearing on this.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to,
Yes, sir.
to close comments and deny the applicant.
Well, you gotta have
Can
a closing,
I just approach and distribute this?
a ceasing of finding of fact,
we're,
and then
okay.
discussion and a motion.
But we also want to ask for any additional finding of fact from the commission. Okay, Ms. Wicker.
I have actually 5 that I want to introduce. So I'll just do one at a time.
We're gonna call this number 7.
What's
Mr.
that?
Chairman, we'll call it.
Yeah, this will be
We'll call
number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Okay, and just so it's clear on my logic here, is that, you know, for a zone change, it either needs to be in agreement with the comprehensive plan, or there's 2 other conditions that have to be met. So we've already established that it's a designated as an employment center. The comprehensive plan does not designate the future land use for this property as industrial.
Is that
That's my
right?
finding of fact. It's not designated as industrial.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Second motion.
It's zoned ag, is you saying the current zoning is not industrial, is that what you're?
No, the future land use.
Future land use, I guess, okay, thank you.
Wait,
Yeah.
could you repeat that, please?
The comprehensive plan does not designate the future land use for this property as industrial.
Okay, thank you.
As industrial.
Okay, Madam Secretary, we'll go ahead. Can you go ahead and
Ms. Cross?
read that where we?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Oh.
I-
Would you read that before we go ahead and pay for
I
it?
will. The comprehensive plan, future land use map does not designate the property as industrial future land use.
Okay, you can proceed with all of them.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
That's yes.
Mr. Lee?
No,
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes 8 to 1.
Okay, my,
Okay, Brenda, this will be number 8. You want to go ahead? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Industrial general zoning allows land uses such as heavy manufacturing that are not compatible with the future land use map designated designation employment center.
Can you repeat
I
that?
can.
Thank you.
Industrial general zoning allows land uses that are not compatible with the future land use map designation employment center. Therefore, IG zoning for this property is not compatible with the comp plan.
No motion? Okay.
That's the end of the motion.
Okay, yeah, that's the motion. Well, as soon as Vicky gets through, she'll read that to us.
I will, okay.
She's right. Got it.
Okay. IG zoning allows land uses that are not compatible with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan, land use category. IG zoning is not compatible with the comprehensive plan, future land use map.
So it's not compatible with the employment center.
Employment.
I mean,
Sorry,
You said
okay.
not compatible with the future land use map designation
Of
employment center.
Employment center, okay. Sorry.
A lot of words.
Yeah. I said, you want to go ahead and take the roll call? You want to go ahead and vote on number 8?
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
No.
Motion passes 6-3.
All right, so then we had the,
No.
just the intro, before I actually put my motion there, is that the other conditions that have to be met is either the existing zoning is inappropriate and the proposed zoning is appropriate. That's one of them. And so my motion is, or the wording for this finding of fact would be, with its historic lineage as a farm and many farms in the area along Duncan Road, agricultural zoning is not inappropriate.
Well, say that, let's go through that again, riff through that one more time, what you're trying to say here.
To paraphrase,
Okay.
it's been a farm for a long, long time.
Okay, gotcha.
So the zoning as ag is not inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay,
The motion is with the historic lineage as a farm and the farms within the area. Agricultural zoning is not inappropriate for the property.
I say, Jake, you call the voting ready.
Was that seconded?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
It's on ag now, so yes.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion is unanimous.
Okay, Ms. Swigger, your next motion
All right,
is, number 10.
two more. There is nothing that has significantly changed that would not have been anticipated since the adoption of the 2016 comp plan.
One more time, please.
There's nothing that has significantly changed, we'll add, in that area that would have not been anticipated, that would have not have been anticipated since the adoption of the 2016 comp plan.
When you read it, I'll get a second, then we'll vote.
Okay, the motion is there has not been a significant change in the area that was not anticipated in the 2016 comprehensive plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those.
Okay. Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-1.
Commissioner Swigger, you have another one? Commissioner Swigger?
Okay. And then this
There
sort
were
of,
two no's.
Oh, those are two.
I said two. I said no.
Keith was one.
Nobody else said. There's just one.
Yeah, there's one.
Each one?
There's only one. According to my book. I think it matches
Mine
yours.
too, yeah.
Yours is the official.
Okay.
actually, I think I'm done.
What?
You're done?
Oh, we have one more. Don't you have one more?
I'm
You gonna let that one ride?
let it ride.
Okay.
Come on.
Gee, I've already made the 11.
Okay, that's it, all right. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for findings of fact six.
okay.
That was
Was there one more, excuse me?
Looney had.
Mr. Looney, this will be number 11.
11.
Okay.
The current Franklin County Comprehensive Plan identifies as primary goals to preserve existing farms and rural lands outside of urban areas and to protect the integrity of the natural environment.
Second.
Second.
Can you say the last part again?
Protect the integrity of the natural environment.
Okay.
Okay, the motion is the current comprehensive plan, save that part after that. It's the current comprehensive plan.
Identifies as primary goals to preserve existing
Thanks.
farms and rural lands outside of urban areas.
Okay. The current comprehensive plan identifies in the goals to preserve farms and to protect the integrity of the natural environment.
We have a second on that already.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Take vote.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
I'm voting no, it's not in, it's in an urban area. You said outside an urban area, it's in an urban area.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-2.
But there were three no's. Keith V., Darrell Sanderson, and Mr. Lusher.
No, mine was a yes.
Let's vote yes.
3. Mine was a yes.
Yeah, there was just two.
There's, who were they?
I think I
Darrell?
probably need to get donations.
Mr. Chairman.
I thought I heard three
Mr.
no's.
Lee
No.
and
Just-
Mr.
There's
Here's the background.
Mr. Sanderson and Mr. Lee.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I have a couple more.
See,
I have a couple more.
okay.
Go ahead.
This will be,
12.
12.
The proposed zone change does not satisfy Goal 6 of the comprehensive plan to promote the stability, preservation, and vitality of existing residential neighborhoods. The request fails to satisfy any of the 8 policies listed under Goal 6.
You're gonna have to go.
We knew that was coming.
The proposed zone change request does not satisfy Goal 6 of the comprehensive plan to promote the stability, preservation, and vitality of existing residential neighborhoods. The request fails to satisfy any of the 8 policies listed under Goal 6. That's part of the staff report.
Okay, you have a second? Second. Okay.
Okay. I don't know that.
Take your
I
time
can
on that,
take one.
Vivian, so
Thank
it's-
you,
it's-
I appreciate that. Okay, the proposed zone change request does not comply with Goal 6 of the comprehensive plan, which is to promote the preservation of,
Promote the stability, preservation, and vitality of existing residential neighborhoods.
okay, I can get that.
Fails to satisfy any of the 8 policies listed under Goal 6.
Okay.
You want to read that one more time? Do you read that for us?
I think I can, I'm not sure. The proposed zone change request does not comply with Goal 6 of the comprehensive plan, which is to promote vitality,
The stability,
stability,
preservation,
preservation
and vitality of
and
existing
vitality
residential neighborhoods.
of the existing residential neighborhoods, and it fails to meet the 8 policies under that goal.
Any of the 8, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ready for a vote?
I'm exhausted.
Let's just think about it.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
No?
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
No.
Motion passes 5 to 4.
We have one more, number 13 is going to be.
Ay, ay, ay.
The current Franklin County Comprehensive Plan identifies 600 acres as available and currently zoned for industrial development and 250 acres currently zoned for commercial use, identified as 5 times the area needed for projected demand.
I question that, where are you getting that fact from?
That's in the comprehensive plan. That's written
12 years ago? That was the
2016?
comprehensive plan? Or
2016, the 2016 the current comprehensive plan.
Current comprehensive plan?
Current
so we have
comprehensive plan.
We
Yes.
have testimony in this thing that there's less than 100 acres available.
That's
That
not
was-
the
that was
testimony.
testimony.
That's not the testimony.
That wasn't the testimony?
The testimony, well, I'm not gonna revisit testimony.
That's fine.
It's seconded.
That's fine.
That-
That-
we'll go.
I'm just trying to
That's,
find where you got
that's,
that
it's
number
pulled
from.
directly from the 2016
Okay.
comprehensive plan,
Okay, thank you.
verbatim.
Thank you, Bob, appreciate it.
Okay, the 2016 current comprehensive plan identifies 600 acres of land that is currently available
And zone
and zoned
for industrial development,
for industrial
and
development
250 acres for commercial use.
and 250 acres for commercial use.
That's identified as 5 times the area for the projected demand.
It is identified as 5 times the area of projected needs.
Demand.
Demand, yeah, sorry.
Okay. We do have a second, so we
Who seconded?
we have a second, we had a second on that. Did we have one?
No.
Nobody seconded.
Nobody seconded. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Bill Nye, second.
Ms. Cross?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
No?
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
No.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
No.
Mr. Swager?
Although technically it's probably true, I think it's a little bit dated, so I'm gonna say no.
Chairman Wright?
No.
Motion fails. 7 to 2.
Okay. Are there any other findings of fact to be introduced? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
make a
Mr. Lee.
motion to find as fact seats.
Second.
Second, okay. We can have a discussion on that if need be. Is there anything to be said? Any comments? I think we've got them all out, okay. We will do a voice vote on the motion by Mr. Lee to cease taking a finding of fact.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes
Mr. Chairman,
unanimously.
can I make a
Yeah.
motion,
Yes.
to deny?
Well, verbalize it, more verbal.
Oh, to deny the bail request. Zone change.
Second.
Appropriate.
You have to mention different findings.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
We'll back up a second, okay. We do have, we have the findings back has been ceased. The next step forward is go ahead to have approval or denial of or approval of the request, okay, what, so
No,
what?
That's the
it's-
motion.
it's
Mr.
the-
Oh,
Chairman.
pardon me.
That's the motion.
What's that now?
Just the motion of the request of approval or denial.
Okay, right.
Yeah. It should
It's
be-
a motion of approval or denial, right, okay. But now-
Could we take a couple minutes just to not deliberate, but to
Mr. Chairman,
ponder?
I'm ready to go. See how this goes.
Right.
Now,
I'm ready when you are, unless,
well, we have.
We have, but Mr. May has a,
Is there a motion on the floor?
there's a motion on the
Motion.
floor.
you need
Is there
to,
a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion. And what was the word, what was Mr. May's motion?
I'm trying, I did the best I could on these notes. I don't know that I'm gonna get all of those ones right. Based on finding number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11, number 12.
Not 1, 2, 3.
And
Okay.
number 2.
I think 2 failed.
Two failed.
Is that too much?
No, number 2 was one that
Got it.
failed.
Two failed.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
And 12.
12.
making this motion to approve, fiscal court approve it?
To deny.
Are you making this motion for fiscal court to deny?
Yes.
That this board will deny?
Based on this. I think I got it.
Just so for clarification, was the motion to deny based upon 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay, the motion is from Mr. May that the Planning Commission recommend to the Franklin County Fiscal Court that the zone map amendment request be denied based on findings 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the findings of fact.
And we did get a second on that, didn't we?
Yes.
Ken Russell.
Ms. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Nope.
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mr. Looney?
Yes.
Mr. Lusher?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Chairman Wright?
No.
Motion passes 6-3.
Close for business. Thank you. Put it on the sign on the door.
Madam Secretary, you want to introduce the next item?
Public hearing. Cole Cameron LLC is requesting approval of a zone map amendment from Rural Residential District RR to Agricultural District AG for 49.968 acres of property at 3730 Peaksville Road, being all of tract number 3, as shown in plat cabinet N, slide 46. The property is more specifically identified as PVA map number 082-00-00-016.04. This is a county item.
Okay, do we have any speakers, somebody who wishes to speak, be needs to be sworn in? I don't know if there's anybody here who needs to, can take testimony.
Oh, we lost our.
We usually do it at this point in time. Okay, you guys,
If you'll raise your right hand, do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
yeah, I think Mr. Logan has to qualify you, you have to go through, not to also, there you go.
Ben Judah.
And then what's your position with the county planning?
I'm the planning supervisor.
How long have you been in that position?
3.5 years.
And you found a veto with this commission for your credentials?
I have.
And based upon your training, education, and experience, have you prepared a staff report with regard to the zone map amendment before us tonight?
I have.
Are there any additions or deletions to that report that you'd like to make?
I have a correction. On the first page, under background, last sentence, it says that applicant is requesting, it should be the applicant is requesting.
And are there any other changes that you would have?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the staff report be filed into the record in lieu of additional testimony, Mr. Chairman. And attend the
Chair, I have a question. Yes, it's more of a clarification on the staff report, because I think maybe it got backwards. On the second page, it talks about existing zoning, and it says rural residential and then ag.
There's another typo there, yes.
Well, I
correct.
mean, it looks like all.
Yeah, it says RR and then parentheses ag, so it should actually be, RR parentheses.
And then I think the descriptions got switched.
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yep, I had it flip-flop there.
Yeah.
Okay. Does the commissioner have any questions of staff? Mr. Judah? Any questions, discussion? Does the applicant have any questions of staff? Okay. Any public, questions from the public for the staff? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Judah.
Sure, you're welcome.
It's time for the applicant to step forward and present their case.
Hello, and I did not prepare a statement, however, I did come to answer any questions that that you all may have in regards to our application.
Would you mind introducing yourself, sir?
I'm sorry, yes, my name is John Cambron with Cole Cambron LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Yes,
You agree with the staff report?
Yes, sir.
That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Is that all?
Chairman?
Oh,
As with any case, I kind of like to know more about what it is that you want to do, why,
Sure.
why it's happening,
Yes.
to give some insight and, and help us with our decision.
Sure.
So, read that it's there's a 200-acre farm, got subdivided, this is one of those tracts.
Mhm.
And
Yes, sir.
Could you just describe the use, I saw it's in the staff report, your
Yes.
intentions for,
Our intentions are to create a family farm where we will be intending to raise cattle, organically graze beef cattle, as well as some produce and possibly some niche market produce as well.
and would you be, I think there was something mentioned about selling on your premise?
Yes, and I'm sorry, with the potential of, and hopefully in the future, selling off the farm at like a roadside stand type
Mhm.
situation.
And then there was also mention of building some homes.
Yes, there will be 3 family members, 2 of which intend to plant homes in the immediate future, and the other in the distant future, as well as a barn planned as well.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. We'd like to ask, is it anybody here in the public has any questions to direct to Mr. Cameron? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all.
Yes. Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify in regard to this agenda item? I don't think there is any. Okay. Do we need to have just need to be tabled at this point if we have afterwards?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that it's okay with council, with like, we can go on, proceed with this vote tonight.
Was there too much given tonight to preclude adopting? No, you can go forward tonight.
Thank you. So I make the motion that
It's the same.
we go ahead and vote on this item tonight.
Second.
We have a second, okay, and there's no discussion, okay, so let's call it.
Well,
Yes, sir. Am I getting ahead of
I
myself?
guess a point of clarification,
Yes,
we need to close the public hearing.
okay, we do.
We need to adopt the staff report as a summary of the public hearing and take action on the item at this evening's meeting.
That's what it said.
That's what,
That's what it says.
That's kind of mumbled.
Yeah, that's,
that's what Mr. Lee.
yeah, I was,
Exactly what I said.
this is all happening in one night,
That's
okay.
exactly what I said,
So,
Keith made the motion, Paul second.
just like he said.
Do you wanna read back everything Mr. Lee said?
What Mr. Lee,
Mr. Lee,
Mr. Lee stated the motion properly.
you did, okay.
I want to say what he
She's
said.
got it.
Mr. Jackson's hearing's causing problems tonight.
Yes.
I'm
Talking
going
as
to,
loud as, I'm just
I'm
going
going
to
to
talk a little
serve.
louder.
I'm gonna have to certify at the next meeting that I have had an audiology,
Yes,
test and et cetera, and it came out okay. I can't say it came out excellent.
We may need a GoFundMe to get him some,
There you go. Set that up for me.
Ms. Cross,
what am I doing? Oh, yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lee,
yes.
Mr. Looney,
Yes.
Mr. Lusher,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Chairman Wright.
Yes,
Motion's unanimous.
okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we, recommend to fiscal court approval of the zone map amendments from rural residential to ag AG for 49.968 acres of property at 3730 Peaks Mill Road, being off, being track number 3 shown and plat in slide 6.
okay.
Second.
Okay.
Based on what?
Yeah, do we have to mute?
Based on the findings of fact in the staff report.
Second.
We have any discussion on that?
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if this would be appropriate or not, but to put it, that if there was something that was proposed to be built beyond 3 homes, that, that the plans come back to us for review. You know, that's,
There's limitations.
It's a,
There's
Ag
limit,
zone.
yeah, ag zone has its own set of can't do's.
that was discussion.
Okay. Master, do you want to do a motion?
Okay. Ms. Cross,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
yes, are we voting on Mr. Lee's motion alone or on Mr. Lee's motion
With a little help.
plus,
No,
Mr.
not
Swager's?
Oh, I didn't make a motion.
No, Brett,
No,
Brett,
he
Brett's
said
was not part of the
discussion.
motion. It was
It
part of
was
the-
not-
I didn't make a motion.
Okay, then yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Looney,
Yes.
Mr. Lusher,
Yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Sanderson,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Chairman Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
It says we can't go across aisles.
There you go.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
I third.
Yeah, maybe